Welcome to part 19. This will be my last part for this morning as I have to get ready for work and get these uploaded that I've got so far. And this is just to show you, though. Oh, sorry. This is part 19 of Let's Go See John. Totally forgot the title, didn't I? November the 13th, 2024 by Man's Calendar. But this is just more evidence to show you, more example to show you that even in the final hours before the destruction of man, the Lord is still pleading with people to come in on this 11th hour before it's too late. Yep, he's still pleading. But who's listening, really, to what the Lord is saying? How are you going to stand in the tribulation period if you're not standing for God now before the persecution of the churches begins? Huh? How, when the persecution starts, will you stand if you're not standing already solid on solid foundation and proclaiming that name above every name and standing firmly against sin? Tell me that. How are you going to measure up to what the Lord expects? You're not doing it yet. Not completely. Your heart is still plunged partly in the world. We have to give all to the Lord. We can't hold anything back. We can't hide things back and say, oh, well, nobody will know about this, this, and this. I'll just put it over here. Nobody will ever see it. Nobody will ever know it. The Lord still knows it. And that makes you a weak link in this chain. That makes you one of the weak parts in the vessel of Christ. We count on every link. But if you're trying to hide in the darkness, you are not of the light. You are a tare amongst the wheat, and you will be hewed down. Jumping straight on back into this word now, though. John 3, verse 30. He must increase, but I must decrease. He that comes from above is he that comes from above is above all. He that is of the earth is earthly, and speaks of the earth. He that comes from heaven is above all. And what? And what he has seen and heard, he testifies. That means he bears witness to it. And no man receives his testimony. Well, John's still right about that. He that has received his testimony has set to his seal that God is true. For he whom God has sent speaks the words of God. For God gives not the Spirit For God gives not the Spirit by measure to him. That means he doesn't give it in part. The Father loves the Son and has given all things into his hand. And he that believes on the Son has everlasting life, and he that believes not the Son shall not see life. Y'all want to preach and teach that you live on somewhere. Destination is the key. Wrong. You're teaching a lie. There is no eternal life for those that are not of the Lord. It has said that throughout this word. You're not paying attention. Right here it is in John 3, verse 36. He that believes on the Son has everlasting life, and he that believes not the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abides on him. That means the anger of God rests on him. Chapter 4. When therefore the Lord knew how the Pharisees had heard that Jesus made and baptized more disciples than John, though Jesus himself baptized not, but his disciples, he left Judea and departed again into Galilee. And he must needs go through Samaria. Now, why do you think he went through Samaria? He had purpose there. It was out of their way. But Jesus purposely went there because he had a purpose. He had a woman he needed to see. Then comes he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus, therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well. And it was about the 6th hour, which is noon. There comes a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus says to her, "Give me to drink." For his disciples were gone away to the city to buy meat, which is food. Then says the woman of Samaria to him, "How is it that you, being a Jew, ask drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans." Jesus answered and said to her, "If you knew the gift of God, and who it is that says to you, 'Give me to drink,' you would have asked of him, and he would have given you living water. The woman says to him, Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From where then have you that living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof, himself, and his children, and his cattle? Jesus answered and said to her, Whosoever drinks of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drink of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The woman says to him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come here to draw. Jesus says to her, Go call your husband and come here. And the woman answered and said, I have no husband. And Jesus said to her, You have well said, I have no husband. For you have had 5 husbands, and he whom you now have is not your husband. In that said you truly. Now look here. This woman has had 5 husbands, not hers, but she's had them as a husband. And the Lord has forgiven her for it. Right here at this well. Y'all want to think that people that have been in this condition can't be forgiven or something. I don't know what's the matter with you. You act as though Jesus doesn't still forgive sin, when he very much does. And once he forgives it and makes you a new creature, that is what you are. You are not that old thing anymore. Do better. Go live your life and do better. Now, getting on back into this. Chapter 4, verse 18. And for you have had 5 husbands, and he whom you now have is not your husband. In that said you truly. The woman says to him, Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in the mountain, and you say that in Jerusalem, in this place where men ought to worship. And Jesus says to her, Woman, believe me, the hour comes when you shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship you know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour comes, and now is, when the true worshipper shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeks such to worship him. See, he already said that the time was now, even then when he spoke to that woman, for us to worship in spirit and in truth. But how are you doing that? Because you're certainly not worshiping in spirit and in truth. We're going to pick up here in the next part from right here, and I'm going to recap. See you there when I get a chance to get it up. I love you. Obey Acts 2:38. Acts 19:1 through 6.